let's see, can you take the cap off from this side? This would be so cool if this, wow, it does. Look at that. Short's gone. The MacBook fixed itself by getting so hot that it took off its own short. A MacBook that died from heat and was revived from heat. From the heat it was created, from the heat it was destroyed, and from the heat it has arisen. I love Apple products, I really do. They're such a meme.
I'm calling from the law firm of Kilpatrick Townsend, Stockton. We represent Apple, and I'm calling to speak with Mr. Rossman.
You know what? Fuck you! And fuck your family!
Hey everybody, here we have another MacBook. Let's get to work on this MacBook and figure out why it's not turning on, and see if it can be fixed. Today we've got an A1707 MacBook Pro. I'm gonna open this thing up and see what is going on with it. So let's get started with our MacBook. Let's also see if I'm able to stream using Spectrum Internet at more than 2.5 megabit per second. Here we have an 820-00928 board. This is a 2017 A1707 MacBook Pro. We're going to unplug the battery because if the battery's plugged in, we're not going to be able to tell how much amperage the machine is using, and then we're going to plug in the charger and see what's going on there. So I am going to unplug the battery. Let's do it. Alright, and we're going to plug in the charger and see what's going on with this little MacBook. Now, let's unplug the battery data cable as well, since we've got the battery power unplugged. Now we plug it in, and it's taking 5 volts. Now it's taking 20 volts. It's taking 20 volts at 20 milliamps. So the USB-C chips are, USB-C MUX chips are talking to the charger, and they are requesting 20 volts from the charger, as can be seen over here. See that? 20 volts, but it's only taking 30 milliamps, and 30 milliamps is no good. We need quite a bit more than that in order to turn on and power a MacBook. So let's get the board out of the case and see what's going on with the board after we take everything out of the case. And then we're also going to see if there's anything around here that seems to be causing our issue. We're going to go through all of our power rails, our enables, and see what's going on. We're going to see if it's power cycling, meaning we want to see if the machine itself is using, we want to see if it's turning on like 200 milliamps 0, 200 milliamps 0. I want to get an idea if it's power cycling or it's just straight up dead. And we're also going to see if we have any liquid damage or blown up stuff in any of the areas. Any word on new location? Nope. I'm taking a look at another one because I'm not waiting for them. There's another one I think on Avenue C in 7th or on Avenue C in 8th. I'm going to take a look at that. It's a similar deal. Yeah, I'm not waiting on nobody. That's the thing. If you want to send me a lease in some good terms, that's cool. If you don't, I will keep it moving. It's, again, it's merciless like this. It's like same thing with Tinder or Bumble. Like, you know, you don't swipe on one girl and then just wait 6 weeks for her to get back to you. Like, fuck that. You swipe, 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 swipe. You know, and the first one that's not crazy, just marry her. Video? Wait, so another store said, can you put down the Nerf guns and fix my MacBook? Even though the video of the Nerf gun that I published was a Nerf video from before summer. I'm not allowed to record a video outside of company hours, upload it to YouTube without a customer becoming a cunt. I'm not allowed to use a Nerf gun at 8:30 p.m.
Get the fuck out!
For the Sopranos. You dumb fuck!
Fuck you! And fuck your business. You know why that pisses me off? Sick on Christmas? Let's fix a MacBook. 4-hour stream. It's Christmas Eve and I'm nauseous. Let's fix a MacBook. December 24th. It's Christmas Eve and I'm nauseous. Let's fix a MacBook. 102 fever. Time to fix a MacBook 2 days before Christmas. I'm telling you, like 99% of the time, this is an awesome job. And I actually really enjoy the interactions that I have back and forth with the customers, like giving them stuff that works. And this is the best part of this job. And it really, it's like, it's a small number of people. Even a real small number of people. I don't mean like the Apple small number, which means, you know, probably half of New Jersey. Holy shit. It's a small number of people that make this job suck. I really hope that your customers start following you around after you leave your job. I hope that your customers follow you around when you leave your workplace and you go to a bar or you go to the movies and you tell a joke and they go, "Excuse me, sir. Is this wall going to be done? Is my construction going to be done tomorrow? Because I see on Saturday night that you had a beer." Okay, so we're taking 30 milliamps. Now we're going to see what is going on here once Paul Daniels' software shows up on the screen. So we have pp3v3_g3 hot. We know that because we have 20 volts. Now we're going to check ppbus g3 hot, which is the next rail, and see if it's there. If that's not there, this is going to be a difficult one. And luckily it's not there, which means this actually has a chance of being a simple one. So, pp/g3hot is the next rail that I need after pp3v3_g3hot. pp3v3_g3hot is going to turn on the USB-C port controllers. I need these chips to work in order for this to be 20 volts. Once that's 20 volts, the next rail is going to be pp/g3hot. As I say in the document that you see down below, there is a document down below that details how to do board repair entirely. It's a repair training guide. Excuse me. There's no sort of free trials kind of stuff there. It's just all the information that I think was useful when I was teaching a class with Jessa Jones, and I put it all into that sheet. It's supposed to be a bit of a beginner's primer. I highly suggest you read it. One of the things we go over is what these different power rails mean. So a G3 hot rail is a rail that's always on. An S5 rail is a rail that's on when the machine's off. An S4 rail is a machine that's on when the machine's hibernating, which means that it has suspended to disk. So, you know, there's a difference between sleep and hibernate. You can suspend and you could save it so that all your open programs and whatever you had open, all of that, instead of being saved to RAM, is saved to disk. It's slower, but now with the advent of PCI Express SSDs, 2 gigabytes a second, it's pretty fast. Then you have S3, which is suspend to RAM. That's suspend, not hibernate, also known as sleep. That's an S3 rail. And then you have SO at the top. Now, all these rails at SO, they need everything below it. The S3 rails need everything below it. It's a pyramid. So if you're missing a G3 hot rail, you're never going to get to your S5, S4, S3, SO. If you're missing an S3 rail, you're never going to get to SO. If you're missing an S4 rail, you're never going to get to S3, and so on and so forth. So we check them in that order of all the G3 hots first. So let's see what is going on. Someone says, next time, turn off the stream. What? Go away. Nice person, no doubt, from the other day, other super chat. Either don't take bullshit is all. Question. Any consideration going on float plane? I don't have any consideration of going on float plane because anything that I release, I don't want it to be behind a paywall. So I'm open, you know, again, if somebody like you wants to be kind and send me 5 foreign currencies, 5 pounds or euros. I always suck at telling them apart. 5 some foreign currencies, I appreciate it, but I don't want that to be what limits people from being able to learn. So any sort of system whereby somebody's got to pay in order to see, or they have to, if they don't pay, they're going to see it later, I'm not as interested in. I have Vimeo as my backup in case anything funny happens with YouTube, and I also live stream to Vimeo just in case. And we leave it at that. So now let's just take a look at the power rails page on my schematic, and we will go from there. Did
you happen to have pliers here anywhere?
I saw them yesterday, but I don't know what they went. I don't use pliers. Maybe Paul or Renell uses pliers. Pliers don't have much use for the MacBook.
I like to have something to twist, like screws in or whatever. Oh, there they are.
Okay.
Small pliers.
Okay. Now pp/g3 hot is over there, so we click, and when I click, of course the cursor is not going to show up where I'm actually clicking because again, Paul Daniels software. pp/g3 hot. When we look at this somewhere on the board, when we find out where it is via the board view software, it says that it is 0.3 to 0.4 volts. No good. So now we're going to see if we have a short to ground on that rail. So we put the meter into ohms mode. And let's see if we have a short to ground on PP bus. And this is the part that makes me sad when it slowly goes up. Oh wait, it's going back down. Awesome. So 56 ohms. So that is a short circuit. There is a short circuit on pp/g3 hot, but it's not going to be something that's super obvious because it is 56 ohms. So we're going to take a look over the board with my microscope camera, and we're going to see if anything shows up that's obviously shorted. Ah, that's blinding. Okay. You have some stray solder balls over here, but I've come to expect that from touch bar board manufacturing at this point. I don't even consider it a sign of fault. How often do you find random little solder balls in the board and the touch bars, Paul?
Every single board.
Yeah, that's shit. It wasn't like that on the air in the old retinas, was it?
Some of them. The later ones. 00165, I see a lot of straight solder balls.
Alright, so I don't see anything obvious here, so I'm going to put half a volt in there myself. And we're going to see what's on this board that's shorted. Let's do it.
Please, bro.
I don't even think we need a please, bro. Float paint live stream chats are not cancerous. Check WAN show model, which is not exclusive to Linus and Luke. I would spend 15 euros a month to sub to you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. But one of the things that I'm trying to do here is get away from... how do I put this? I like platforms where I'm a customer. Like, the thing that I like about Vimeo is with Vimeo, they're accountable to me in the way that a place that I'm not a paying customer of is not. So in terms of having a backup, I like having a backup on Vimeo. So we are going to solder a wire. No, Paul, solder.
Solder?
We are going to solder a wired PP bus from our power supply. We're also going to remember to change my power supply from 18 volts to 0.5 volts before I do that, because that would be bad. Now we're just going to solder our wire over there. Doesn't really need to be a perfect joint because this is not something that's going to be permanent anyway. Take our wire, and we're going to take our wire and we're going to solder that wire to our PP bus. Our PP bus. You know what I think would be a cool thing to do, Paul? Just in honor of that asshole, we should do like a daily Nerf video every single fucking day, just for that douchebag. We have Nerf guns. No, they didn't. Who threw the Nerf guns away? No way. Where the fuck is Steve? San Francisco?
All I have are the single shot ones that I happen to save over here.
Did you hear that San Francisco deemed the NRA a terrorist organization officially?
What?
Actually. Don't you have to... Here's the interesting thing about that designation, because when you designate somebody a terrorist, you can go through their homes, there's certain Fourth Amendment rights that just kind of go out the window with the Patriot Act. So it's interesting how this is coming around full circle, because the right is the one that put in all that if you're a terrorist, we can kind of take away your civil liberties thing. So now the other side can just say, okay, well, we consider you a terrorist, and now that
Hold
stuff.
you indefinitely without trial and stuff.
Like, just be careful what power you give the government to fuck with people you don't like, because that shit's gonna come right around back to you when somebody. Scary shit. Scary shit. Anyway. So we are going to inject some voltage. Now there's a reason I start at 0.5 volts. So one of the things that I've told you all is that a buck converter is going to be a chip that tells a transistor when to pulse. So the transistor is going to say, let's say you want to take 12 volts and turn it into 1 volt, right? You want to take 12 volts, turn it into 1 volt. One of the ways that we do that is by saying 12 volts, okay, we're going to have a little bit of 12 volts and a lot of 0. Then a little bit of 12 volts, then a lot of 0. A second of 12 volts, maybe 10 seconds of 0. Obviously, it's happening much faster than that, but you get the idea. So you get a little bit of 12, a lot of 0. A little bit of 12, a lot of 0, and it's going to average out to a volt. Now, what if that transistor that's supposed to be switching and pulsing is short-circuited and dead and just sending out 12 all the time? If I inject 12 volts into PP bus G3 hot while one of those transistors is shorted, I could very well be sending 12 volts into a circuit that's designed to take the 12 and turn it into 3, or the 12 and turn it into 5, or the 12 and turn it into 1. So if a circuit is taking 12 volts and turning it to 3, but that transistor is stuck on that buck converter, and now it's just shooting out straight up 12 volts into it, I'm going to send 12 volts to everything on that 3 volt line, and I'm going to kill it. So let me just give you an example of this here. So here we have U7650. So this chip, this is going to control this transistor. So this chip over here tells this transistor when to turn on. Now this transistor over here, and let's just make this full screen because it's going to make it easier to see. This transistor over here takes the 12 volt line over here, 12 volts. This is PP bus HS, other blah, blah, blah. That's PP bus G3 hot over there, just by another name. And it's going to send it out here where it becomes PP3V3S5, right? So let's say this transistor is on, right? And then off, then on, then off, then on, then off. It's switching, and through the coil and with the capacitors, it's going, instead of be looking like 12, 0, 12, 0, it's just going to average out to 3. Now, what if this transistor is broken? It's just stuck. So not only is it sending power to ground, which is why we have a short to ground, but it's stuck sending a bunch of 12 out here. If I shove 12 volts over here, and it's stuck on, then that means that this is just going to get a straight up 12 all the time, and I'm going to kill it. So what I do is I figure out what is the lowest voltage line in the computer. And in this one, I think there's a 0.9 or a 1 volt line for the CPU, or some 0.9 volt line for the CPU. So what I'm doing there is I'm starting the power supply at 0.5 volts, so that let's say it is one of those transistors that's shorted, I'm only sending 0.5 into that circuit rather than 3 or 5 or 12, which is going to kill the CPU potentially if that's what's shorted. So we are going to turn the power supply on, and then we're going to see what gets hot and go from there. Alright, so we take the power supply software. Power supply software is going to tell us how many amps are being used. Let me just make sure before I actually have this plugged into the board that it's displaying the right thing. Alright, so it's 0.5 volts. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so that's using virtually nothing. So now we're going to up this a little bit. 1.5 volts. Okay, 1.5 volt, that's enough that something should be getting warm. We started at 0.5 volts, but it was usually using virtually nothing. Now, this is the point at which the Please Bro camera would be handy. But unfortunately, the Please Bro camera is...
All the way up.
Suka blet. Alright, be right back. Alright, we've got the Please Bro camera. So we're going to plug in the Please Bro camera and see what gets Please Bro'd. Now remember, these are the shields. So this doesn't count because it's going to be reflecting the thermalness. But when the board itself is hot in an area, that matters. But nothing here is really that warm. Over here, maybe it is. Let's see what we have here in the thermal Pepe. Alright. So it looks like it's this capacitor. Now a capacitor that's different. It's not a transistor and a buck converter. If the cap is what's shorted, then you can put more voltage in without having to worry about things going awry. Which I may just do because, well, it's fun. So there's my power supply software for the power supply that you can get from CircuitSpecialist.com. It's a CSI 3005P from CircuitSpecialist.com. It comes with software that actually works when you first turn it on. That's how you know it wasn't made by Paul Daniels. Look at that cap. Look at that cap. 191 degrees. 184 degrees. Ooh.
Put some flux on it. See if it'll unsolder itself.
Let's see if it unsolders itself. So let's see. We're going to see if we can make this thing unsolder itself. Let's put some flux on there. Damn, it's smoking. Alright. Do you come off the board? No. Sometimes that happens though with the smaller ones. It's fun when it does. Alright. What? Is it melting solder?
Yeah.
Whoa! Wait, let's do it on the
Melting
microscope. Microscope. No way. That's crazy. That's a short right there. Yeah, this is a MacBook. Look at that MacBook. Wow. Let's melt. Wait, let's get rid of. Do it on the other side, because maybe if it gets soldered on a leaded solder on each side, it'll come desoldered from the board easier.
That side's not hot.
Yeah. Oh, that's the ground side. Of course, it's not gonna. Yeah. This MacBook is. Let's see. Can you take the cap off from this side? This would be so cool if this. Wow, it does. Look at that.
Short's gone.
Short's gone. The MacBook fixed itself by getting so hot that it took off its own short. That's awesome. A MacBook that died from heat and was revived from heat.
All it does.
From the heat it was created, from the heat it was destroyed, and from the heat it has arisen.
It is a phoenix.
This is hysterical. I love Apple products, I really do. They're such a meme, I swear. Apple is a meme. Such a meme. Let's get rid of the old solder. Let's put this Mac back together. Filthy MacBook. Filthy, filthy MacBook. And now to find a MacBook board that has that on it. I'd burn my hand being an idiot. Okay. Let's make that get into place nicely. That cap is as crooked as Clinton when he steals greenies. Yeah, that'll do. Alright, so now for the moment of truth. We're going to remove the soldered on jumper wire. Then we're going to see how many amps this takes. Here's €10 to buy more Nerf gun stuff. Stream some fights soon. Indeed we will. Here's $5 for Lewis to gently caress Paul's face and audibly moan on stream. Fuck you, Kopez. Fuck you and your $5. Paul,
You better not order something and show up for another weekend.
how about we take this thing and shove it all the way up your... Well, I'll let chat decide where that thing's going. We are paid actors, after all. We might as well practice from time to time. Okay, it's taking 20 volts, and then it takes an amp. Now remember, this machine is going to need to have the battery and everything else hooked up for it to turn on sustainably. So it's only going to turn on for a moment to tell me low battery, But it is taking an amp, which means that we have fixed it. This is good to go. We're done. Bada bing, bada boom. This MacBook fixed itself. It died from overheating. The customer said it was randomly crashing when they were doing difficult CPU-intensive tasks. It died from heating, and from heat, it fixed itself. Now it can go back to living the life of a MacBook and continuously overheating and thermal throttling within the possession of its customer. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something.
We represent Apple.
Get the fuck out of here!